Hey everyone, I want to give you a quick encouragement in working for God. I heard a pastor speak on this just the other day. In 1 Corinthians 15:58 it says, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord." Always abounding in the work of the Lord. "For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord." So Paul's encouraging the Corinthians, keep working for God. Your work is not in vain. God can, does, and will use whatever you give him, whatever you're able to do for him. Now, you might think, well, I don't know enough, I made mistakes, I fumbled, I wasn't clear, I wasn't whatever. God can still work through it. And I know I struggle as a perfectionist myself. I know it's hard to let that go sometimes. Some of the times where I think I've completely bombed something are the times where I've seen God work the most, and I've seen people just like give their feedback and just how much God blessed them through it. God can use anything and everything, even what you think you've completely messed up. Even if you did make mistakes, God can still work through it. Your labor is not in vain in the Lord. And I also want to encourage you guys, when you're working for God, you might sometimes feel stressed. You feel burdened, you feel overwhelmed, like I've taken too much on. Those are times to stop and reflect, because you're probably doing one of two things wrong. If you're feeling weighed down, burned out, all that kind of stuff, you're probably either not doing what God called you to. You may have pursued a ministry that God didn't put you in. He might have called you to something else. So make sure you're doing what he called you to. But the other thing is you're doing it out of your own effort instead of allowing him to work through you and to flow through you. It says in Matthew 11, verses 28 to 30, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Rest. Jesus wants you to have rest. Not to be lazy, not to do nothing. You're to work for God, but it's not supposed to be something that burns you out. He will give you rest. He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Yes, he gives you work to do, but it's supposed to be easy and light. If you're feeling burned out, you're probably either doing it out of your own effort, or you're doing something that God didn't directly call you to. You may have inserted yourself or took someone else's advice and got into something that he didn't really call you to. And in John 15, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but in John 15 verses 4 and 5, Jesus says, "Abide in me." It means like that's the Greek word meno. It means like a relationship or fellowship. "Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abides in the vine, no more can you except you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abides in me and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing." So what you see in John 15 is that we are called to bear fruit, not to produce fruit. And that's why so many people feel burned out. They're trying to produce things for God. You're trying to do things for God. You're called to bear fruit. If you're holding something for someone, you're bearing it. That's what it is. Jesus is the one who produces it. You just bear it and give it to others. And that comes from spending real quality time with God. When you spend time with God, you will leave changed in some way. You will leave with something to share, something he's laid on your heart or blessed you with or taught you. God produced that fruit through you, and you are now able to bear it for others. That's the whole point. He produces it, you bear it. And there are also times where you're going to have to take breaks. You have to learn to take breaks. And you can see throughout the Bible, for example, God gave the Israelites 1 day and 7 to rest. They were to work for 6 days, but to take a day off. It's okay. It's not bad to take little breaks every once in a while. And in Luke 5, you see that even Jesus had to take time once in a while to himself, just to relax and to recharge. You see in Luke 5, verses 15 and 16, it says, "But so much the more there went a fame abroad of him, of Jesus, and great multitudes came together to hear and to be healed by him of their infirmities. And he, Jesus, withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed." There was always work to be done. There were always people that needed ministering to. But even Jesus, God in the flesh, took time once in a while just to chill, just to relax and to pray and to let himself recharge. So don't burn yourself out. If you burn yourself out, you're no good to anybody. You're not good. You can't do anything. You're just going to be sitting there. Don't burn yourself out. Yes, work, apply yourself, and do what you need to do, but do make sure that you take adequate time every once in a while to rest and to pray and to get your heart recentered. So there's nothing wrong with that. I want to encourage you guys in this. that your work is not in vain in the Lord, to work hard, but to remember that Jesus' yoke is easy, his burden is light. If you're feeling burned out, you're probably either not doing what he called you to, or you're doing it out of your own strength instead of allowing him to do it through you, which means you need to abide in him, spend that time with him so that he can start to bear that fruit in you and through you. And every once in a while, take breaks for yourself when you need them. You got to weigh yourself up. Some people need breaks more often. Some people can go longer without. But weigh yourself up, judge by the situations you're in, take little breaks every once in a while so you don't burn out. I hope this is helpful and encouraging to you guys. Thank you, and God bless.